China has been the world's largest FDI recipient among developing countries since early 1990s. In recent years, FDI to China accounts for 1/4 to 1/3 of total FDI inflow to developing countries. Since China's economic reform and opening up to the outside, it has attracted increasingly large amounts of foreign capital. In 2006, China's FDI inflow was $69.5 billion US. Annual FDI usage in China grew from $4 billion US a year in 1991 to more than $45 billion of its peak in 1997 and 1998. In 1999 and 2000, FDI inflow decreased from its highest level but still amounted to more than $40 billion a year. While the relative importance of different source countries for FDI inflow changes over the years, the composition of different types of FDI projects has also experienced changes throughout the years. There are 5 different forms of FDI in China: equity joint ventures, cooperative operation enterprises or contractual joint ventures, wholly foreign-owned enterprises, foreign sharing holding enterprises, and joint exploration. Another important feature of China's FDI inflow is that they are mostly concentrated in the eastern coastal regions. Here are China's FDI inflows by region. Asia, 71%, North America, 10%, European Union, 8%, some free ports, 7%, and 4% others. With all eyes set on China's foreign direct investment inflows, the country's outflows drew little attention. Restrictions remained on FDI outflows from China. Notwithstanding these restrictions, China had encouraged outward investment since the late 1970s when reforms first began. By the mid-1990s, Chinese companies began using this outflow route seriously. China believed that to excel in foreign trade and to prosper, such foreign operations were mandatory. By 2000, China had invested in 6,298 enterprises in over 160 locations, with investments running into $11.36 billion. This move represented one step towards building brand China. It also provided China with the plank for the next stages of its structural reforms, which was expected to transform it into a full-fledged market economy. Some goals of China's FDI outflow are to create overseas markets for their products and services, build up their manufacturing capabilities for local markets, and develop other economic cooperation, such as turnkey projects and labor key projects and labor contracting. Here are China's FDI outflows by region. 58% of outflows go to Asia, 14% to North America, 9% to Africa, 7% to Latin America, and 6% to each Europe and Australia. China has many foreign direct investment projects or industries that they are involved in. Most of them fall into infrastructure or high-tech fields. China will also encourage investment in farming, high-tech, and export-oriented industries, and infrastructure and basic industries. China's economic opening and its liberalizing policies governing FDI have not only assisted with its export trade, but further affected the trade and investment patterns in the Asia-Pacific region and the U.S.-Asian trade relations. The FDI induced trade with China, or the outward processing trade during the last 2 decades, remains a dominant factor in enhancing the growth in Hong Kong in the 1990s. Ever since its economic opening in 1979, China has launched its economic liberalization policy to attract FDI through carefully designed policy measures, especially in the forms of building a business-friendly environment and designing preferential treatments for foreign investors. In the past 2 decades, economic openness was widened and deepened following the accumulation of capital inflow. However, due to the complexities and heterogeneity of the FDI policies designed by the central government and specific regulations or measures catering to the needs of local governments, more systematic and scientific attempts to interpret the significance and effectiveness of China's FDI promotion policies with regard to its degree of attractiveness in FDI promotion have been quite limited. China's open-door policy towards FDI was initiated as part of the overall reform and open-door policy launched by Deng Xiaoping in 1978. The Chinese government created special economic zones, first among the coastline and then along the Yangtze River. These zones were established outside the state's industrial centers to prevent contamination of Chinese industry by outside influences.